James, first of all, any absentees this weekend that we need to know about?
No absentees. Fully fit squad, but people may get an opportunity tomorrow.
I was going to say, with a change of competition, are you thinking a bit of rotation this weekend?
We go into every game trying to win it, and we'll need to rotate over the Christmas period, so it's no different to any league game. We'll go in to win the fixture, and I'll pick the team to win.
It's obviously a different competition. You've had a week off since the last game. Have both of these things come at the wrong time, given the form in the league and the momentum of the start?
Yes, but it's the FA Trophy and you've got a chance to get into Wembley, so it's a great competition. Our opponent obviously won it 3 years ago, so it underlines obviously the challenge we've got ahead. We won't underestimate them, and it's a competition that we want to do the best we can, so hopefully we can continue our form tomorrow.
With this sort of change in style that you've brought in and the signings that you've made already, does it feel like your team already, if you know what I mean?
It's never my team, it's about our team. You know, that includes the community. Done some great work in the community yesterday. It was a pleasure to go to the hospital and the hospice, and it's about our team, with the board, the trust, my staff, and yes, it's very much our team.
But you appreciate what I'm saying in terms of the way you like to play football,
yeah.
with the kind of players that you think can do a job for you?
Yeah, but we're still learning about each other. I'm only 3 weeks in, so it's still a long way to go this season, and we're building for the future. I've said that there's a plan here for the future, and we're very much in the early stages of that. Every player's got an opportunity to continue to be a part of that next season, and that will determine, well, that'll be on obviously individual performances and team performances from now until the end of the season.
You just mentioned a bit of community work. I mean, it's sort of a time of year when football clubs really come into their own. I suppose this year with COVID and lockdown and no fans and everything else, that sort of seems even more important now than ever.
It really is. Football's obviously really important to all of us, but the work that's going on in the hospice and the hospital I went yesterday is far beyond football, really. You know, it puts things into perspective. Yes, we want to go in tomorrow, we want to do our best, we want to win the game. The football's the heartbeat of the community, the club is. But beyond that, mental health, what we can do for children in the community and stuff. Seeing that firsthand, the little bits I saw, because obviously we couldn't interact too much, is far beyond the importance of a football game.
You've spoken about it a few times since you joined the club about the community aspect of it. Was that a huge part of why you wanted to come here?
Yeah, it really was. I felt that as soon as I walked in the room for the interview with the boards, with Mike, and the great work he's done with John on the community trust. I think that's the bedrock of what we can do here. It's the centre of it. So it's important we continue our links, our current links, and build bigger links in the community. I think that we can do more, and we will do more. But again, we've got to match that spirit on the pitch and have a team that we can be proud of, and that comes from hard work.
Well, that certainly started already. I mean, 6-0 against Barnet last time out. The ruthlessness shows a real good quality of a good side, doesn't it?
It does. Unfortunately, obviously, Peter lost his job after the game. I don't like to see that, but we can't have that in our thoughts when we're on the pitch. We've got to go for it. Like I said after the game, when we had 5, I wanted 6, I wanted 7, but even more important was a clean sheet at the other end, and a great save from Carl kept us a clean sheet, which is always important for confidence.
A lot of the time when a team is on top, they don't seem to go on and score that third, that fourth, that fifth, that sixth. Is that something that you're sort of really keen on, that when you are up in a game that you do take those chances and that you do punish teams?
Yeah, if the opportunity's there. I think Sutton was a different game. We were a lead in that game, but we were defensively regrouping in our own half to obviously maintain the clean sheet. On Saturday against Barnet, it was a different type of game. I felt that we could have scored more, and we did, without sacrificing a clean sheet at the other end. So it depends what the game looks like, but we'll always obviously do our best either end to make sure we can get the best scoreline.
Clearly, with the players that you brought in, you'll know about them. There'll be players that you want to, and you've got a specific role or something like that, and they've all seemed to have hit the ground running. Away from them, the players that are already here, how impressed have you been with their reaction and how quickly they seem to have adapted to what you want?
Really impressed. Sometimes it's the ones that aren't playing that I've been more impressed with their attitudes, the way they conduct themselves around the group. Very supportive. and those players may get an opportunity tomorrow. It depends how I see after training today what I think is the best team to win the game. But also they probably some of them deserve a chance. They've been first class, the attitude of the group, the present players that I joined. And yes, I suppose I have been pleasantly surprised, but it's just the start. You know, often you learn about people. Apologies about that. That's fine. Apologies about that. Yeah, you learn after a period of time about human beings that you can be okay for a little period, but over a long period, whether that's 1 month, 2 months, you tend to learn more about people, and I'm expecting them to continue the way they have, and long may it continue with the results.
Changing tacks, of course, with a different competition this weekend. How do you view cup football? How do you view the FA Trophy in terms of where it sits along your different priority levels this year?
I think with me coming in only 3 weeks ago, it's the priority perhaps was the league, considering we only had 6 points when I joined. We're obviously in a bit of a better position now, but we've got to be realistic with our expectations. But securing our league status was the number one objective, considering where we were when I took over. Now we haven't done that because we've only played 4 games. But the trophy is an important competition. But first and foremost, I think our league position is number one this year.
Clearly, you're young in your coaching career, but you have been an assistant and a coach at other clubs before. You obviously had a playing career too. What's been the level of sort of cup success or whatever that you've enjoyed throughout your footballing life so far?
A few FA Cup runs. I think I had one at Histon. Sudbury, I had a good cup run, got to the first round. But trophy, not so much. So yeah, it's one that I've earmarked in my career that I'd like to do well in, and the carrot is always to have an opportunity to play, obviously, at Wembley. You don't get many opportunities like that in your football career. At Aldershot, unfortunately, we fell a game short twice, 2 years on the bounce, and obviously that's upsetting, and I want to put that right in whatever capacity I'm in a management team, whether that's a first team coach, a manager, or an assistant in the future. I want to obviously put that right, and this gives us an opportunity, and players will tell you that are long in the tooth that you don't get many opportunities to play at Wembley. So to do that, this competition gives you that opportunity.
Did you manage to see Brackley against Royston in the week?
No, but I've seen videos. We've done our work as usual. We've done our due diligence. Never underestimate anyone. And Brackley, obviously, coming in the back end of a trophy win 3 years ago. And also the fact that they've been in the playoffs, in and around the playoffs, and the one below suggests they're probably going to be a tough nut to crack. But we've got to concentrate on ourselves as well. Like I said, we've got to remember our strengths and take that into the game. I'm looking forward to it.
You obviously got some inside knowledge. How does the National League North compare to the National League in itself in terms of the standard and difference?
There's always a difference in standard over a period of time, consistency. So a group of games, but a one-off, especially because it's decided on the day, opens it up a little bit, opens the game up a little bit. They've got some good quality. They've got some players that are probably above the level that should be playing or playing their trade in the National League minimum. And they've got 3 or 4 there that I know firsthand from playing against them, but also on the videos of studies. So yeah, we can't underestimate them. They're pushing, they're knocking on the door for the National League the last few years, so it's going to be a tough game, but I'm really excited to see again how do we adapt on a one-off cup game. It's going to be good, it's going to be a good game, and I would tune in and pay for the stream if I was a neutral watching this one.
They'll fancy an upset, won't they? They're on a good run of form at the minute, 4 wins in a row coming into it, something you've got to guard against.
Yeah, of course, yeah, they'll fancy themselves, no doubt about that. The manager's been around a bit at this level now. Again, like I've said, they've actually won the competition in recent times, so they'll know, they'll be full of confidence coming here. But so are we. We're unbeaten in 4 as well.
Thanks, James. Good
Thanks.
James, is there any update on David Buchanan's injury?
Yeah, he's back in training and he's available for selection tomorrow.
So was that just a precautionary scan last week, was it?
It was, yeah. It was the results came back well. It's what we expected, what Claire expected, but we had to make sure on a few things, and it came back well. So he's trained this week and he's trained well, and he comes back in tune for selection.
One player we perhaps haven't spoken about too much is young Jamie Sharman. Is he a player in your plans, or could he perhaps follow Milan and Luke going out on loan?
He could do, but let's just see what happens over the Christmas period. We need numbers. We've got 5-6 games in a short space of time. I think in 19 days or something like that. So, yeah, that's nearly 1 in 3. One game every 3 days. So we need numbers. We've got to make sure we don't leave ourselves short over this period. And over the Christmas period, you can really pick up points. So that's what we're aiming to do. But that's not to say that we're not taking tomorrow seriously. We are. I want to win tomorrow. I want to continue the form. But also, a few players may deserve an opportunity.
Jack McCourt last week was outstanding with a goal and a couple of assists. Has anything developed further in the last week regarding his contract at the club?
Not at the moment. He just needs to continue doing what he's doing, and that will take care of itself.
The club have put out a communication strategy this week regarding a plan to bring the fans closer together with the club. Is that something that you would obviously welcome, and something that you've noticed behind the scenes as well, how close the club is coming together with the fans now?
Oh, it's massive. We won't be able to succeed without clear communication with the fans, a togetherness I've spoken about since my first press conference. We need to be together, and there's a building process going on the field, which I'm responsible for, with the backing of the board, but also off the field. The board have got to make sure there's structure, and we're building off the field as well, because there's been too much turmoil over the last few years, which I've studied and know the history of now fully. Now I've been in the building for three weeks. I know what's gone on. We need to make sure we build together, and the fans, in answer to your question, are the bedrock of that. And
in terms of incomings and outgoings in general, are you still sort of working on anyone else coming in or going out? Not
at the moment, no. The movement will slow right down now. As I said, when we signed the last couple, it's about what we've got in the group now. We've got enough quality in there to continue building, and anything's possible this year. To be in the position we are is probably ahead of where I thought we would be 3 weeks ago. I think we've done better than anyone could have expected, but with that we can't be wild with our expectations now. I said it, we're going to have some adversity at some point. You learn more about people when that comes.
And how do you assess your first 3 weeks in charge then, overall?
I've really enjoyed it. I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it. It's where I want to be. I've got a real quick affinity with the club. It's just a shame the other day that the players probably deserved a standing ovation for that performance to come off there at 6-0. I think someone told me it's the first time we've scored 6 at home for 41 years, isn't it? Something like that. So that's an incredible feat. But even more important was the clean sheet. I've said that's, again, to only concede 1 goal in 4 games is impressive, and that gives you the stability to go and attack. But we've also started defending from the front. I know when I came in, perhaps the centre halves and the defenders were getting a bit of stick for conceding unnecessary goals, but our confrontation line's higher up the pitch now, and that allows the defenders to defend further from our goal and keep the ball out of the 18-yard box more. And I think that's worked really well. But yeah, I think we're ahead of where I thought we'd be. But we're going to be ready for a really tough Christmas period, and it starts tomorrow with a one-off trophy game.
I remember at your first press conference, I asked you what you think you could achieve this season, and you told me to ask you in a month's time. So, any more thoughts on that?
We're not a month yet, are we? We're 3 weeks. Ask me in a month. So we've got 1.5 weeks to go. You can ask me that question.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
James, after last Saturday's morale must be really high in the dressing room.
Yeah, they're obviously in good spirits. Any team would be with the current form we're in. We're having lots of fun, but also the work's being done with great intensity and professionalism. I've been really impressed with the players as a group, and the 5 that have come in have bonded really well. And that's always important, that you try and recruit the right human beings to fit into your current group, and that's happened. They've been welcomed with open arms, and I've been really impressed with the camaraderie.
Is it a difficult job then to get their feet back on the ground?
No, because I think we've got a mix of experience in there and fresh legs, young athleticism. So there's a good mix. I'm happy with the mix in the change room, and they've kept their feet on the ground and they've trained. How I know that is because they've trained properly, and they'll be fully ready. They won't underestimate the opponent tomorrow, I can assure you.
Is it a big change from the lack of confidence perhaps you found when you arrived to perhaps edging towards overconfidence?
Well, I didn't see the lack of confidence because obviously we started with a great result at Weymouth. I was only in the seat for 24 hours, so I didn't really see that. I heard, obviously, and I read, but I haven't seen that lack of confidence. We've moved the ball really quickly. I thought we made more passes than we have done in other games on Saturday against Barnet, who did come after us a little bit in that first half as well. So I was really impressed how we recycled the ball round from side to side and got in down the sides. And we played through and we went over. So we played with a good variety, and I think that there hasn't really been a lack of confidence.
When talking about your management so far, the supporters seem to be pretty much over the moon and ecstatic and full of renewed hope. And you could do no wrong, really. So they seem to be wondering what rabbit you're going to pull out of the hat next.
Right. Well, it's not, as I said, it's not about me. Obviously, I'm leading the process as the manager, but I've got a great team behind me. George has made a great impact as well with the group. Can't underestimate what George is doing. But also the board have been fantastic in supporting me with the players that I brought in. So yeah, everything's heading in the right direction, and the recent fan engagement is really important. Like I said, it's the fans are the bedrock of this. Can't wait to invite them back in, but it was so disappointing they weren't there to see that on Saturday. They'd have loved that performance live. But hopefully we'll be able to do that again, perhaps when they come back in.
Brackley seem to make a habit of cup runs. Not just in the trophy, but in the FA Cup as well. They've beaten league teams from League One, and they beat us 2-0 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and they've also ran obviously Tranmere close on TV a few weeks ago in the FA Cup, so that was a narrow defeat. So, as I said, we won't underestimate them. The manager's been around this level now for a while, and they are used to cup upsets as well. We're going to make sure they don't upset us tomorrow, and we'll be doing our utmost to make sure that doesn't happen.
If I may, we're coming towards the end of the year. Could you tell me what your worst and your best sporting moments of the year have been? And nothing to do with Spurs, of course.
What was my worst? That's a difficult question. Probably the best moment so far is probably the victory against Weymouth, to be honest, because I was only in the seat for 24 hours, and to win that game away from home on the back end of obviously what the team had been doing before I came in, for the players to show me what they were about, I thought was really impressive. I really enjoyed that win. I think that's probably the biggest moment for me personally this year. And the worst one, probably the 4-4 I had at Gloucester, really, because we dominated that game, and the opposition just seemed to score every time they attacked. They probably had 4 or 5 attacks. It was Bradford Park Avenue. It's probably the worst because there was no control in that game, probably from a sporting point of view.
And if I could grant you one New Year's wish for next year, what would that be?
One wish,
yeah.
Sporting.
Yeah.
Sporting only, not personal.
Well, yes, I would say sporting. Yeah.
Sporting.
Because it's for a sport.
Well, we want to be in the EFL, so that would be my wish. Now that's a wild expectation because, as I said, I picked up the team with 6 points. Whenever we can get promoted, I'll take it, because this club should be in the EFL. The foundation, the support base, how it's run, the people in it. We're an EFL club, but I keep reminding the players that you are where you are for a reason, and that takes time now to build us back up to where we want to be, and that's not going to happen overnight. If you gave me a wish and I can have that now tomorrow, of course I wish us to be in the EFL.